In this video, we're going to make an application that will check the temperature on 1 microbit and then send it via broadcasting to a second microbit. So I'll show you how to do the code for both of the microbits. So in this case, we're going to use an on-start block. So go under Basic and get the on-start block. And we're going to set the radio signal right away. So under Radio, we need the radio set group. The radio set groups can be anywhere between 0 and 255. There are 256 different channels. I'm going to leave it set at 1. Then what we're going to do is use a forever block to have the microbit check the temperature over and over again. And it will send that temperature to the microbit each time it checks the temperature on the first microbit. So initially on our first program, we had the set microbit temp to temperature under the button A block, but we're going to take that out now and use it instead in our forever block. So the button A will still display the temperature, but the microbit will be constantly checking the temperature in the forever block. Once we obtain the temperature, we want to send it to our second microbit. So to do that, you're going to radio send number. So I went to radio, then I'm going to go to radio send number and place it beneath the set block. I'm then going to go to variables and get my microbit temperature variable and place it inside of the radio send number block. So it's going to check the temperature and then send it to the second microbit. I'm also going to add a pause in so that our CPU isn't working constantly to check the temperature. We'll check the temperature every 5 seconds, 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds. And if you think the temperature is going to change more often and you want to know that information, then you'd have to reduce the amount of seconds here so that it checks the temperature more often. So the way we have our program is, when it starts the program, it will automatically set the radio set group to 1. It will be constantly checking the temperature, and then button A will still display that temperature on the current microbit. We're now going to make the code for the second microbit. So this is the code for the first microbit. We're now going to make the code for the second microbit. So I'm going to get rid of what I had here. We'll go back to the original program that the students will likely have on their microbit. So it had that set block over here. So they're not just starting from scratch here. So this is the original code that the students would have. So for the second microbit, again, you'll have to do what we did with the first microbit, and that is go to radio and get the radio set group. Under Basic, we should have on start. So under Basic, I grabbed the on start block, and then I went to radio to get the radio set group, and we have to make sure this number is the same radio set group as on the first microbit. So each pair of students will have to have a unique set of radio set groups to work with. I usually have them write out their number on the whiteboard or the chalkboard, and it has to be a number again between 0 and 255. So for the second microbit, we're going to go to radio and then go to the on, or take the on radio received number block, and when we receive that information from the first microbit, we can then set our value. So if you can look at your button A, you have a set block already, so we could either remove it or modify that. So I'm going to place the set block inside of the on radio received block, and we're going to get rid of the temperature sensor block, and that's because we're not checking the temperature with this microbit, we're receiving the value from another microbit. So you're going to go to variables, and you'll see that there's a new block called received number. So that goes inside of the set microbit temp to the received number. So that's the entire program. When it starts, it will set the radio group to 1. It will be constantly waiting for a number received from the first microbit. It will set it to that number, so the microbit temp is going to be equal to whatever is received from the first microbit, and the button A will still display that value.